Yes, KJ, our next guest, of course, talking about positive starts, positive everything. Gold in the 500-metre time trial, in the sprint, in the team sprint, just the 3 gold medals at the Commonwealth Games. Then she said, I've had enough of this, I'll come back to Adelaide.
And that was a fine gesture to do.
Well, yes, to get back for the Little Heroes Foundation art exhibition. That's probably because she's a great artist, but she doesn't want to talk about it. We talk about Anna Meares. She joins us now. Anna, thanks for your time.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
Now, Anna, it is an outstanding gesture to come back after winning your 3 gold and then get involved in the Little Heroes Foundation art exhibition. Are you an artist? Did you contribute in any way?
I did. I painted a piece, actually one of my favourite pictures that was ever taken. A photographer was actually underneath the scoreboard in Athens in the moment that I realised I'd won the gold medal in the time trial. And my reaction, in my head, I didn't know what to do. I was screaming and I was crying, and he actually captured that with the entire velodrome and the stadium in the background. It's a really, really beautiful photo, and so I thought I'd put that onto a canvas. I spent 17 hours before I left 2 months ago for my overseas preparation for the Commonwealth Games, and it sold for about 3,500, I think, yesterday, which is great.
Oh, that's fantastic. And how long have you been painting? Was this a one-off, or have you done painting previously?
I've always been creative, always been into the art and crafts area.
Yep. And
I did it particularly when I was in school, and if I hadn't have followed my sporting career, I probably would have gone into an art major at university or something like that.
Yep.
And I've enjoyed it, but I haven't actually touched the paintbrushes for about 4 or 5 years, and been tucked away in the shed. I've been too busy, and the opportunity came up to do this, and I jumped at it.
And as Phil said, it was a fine gesture for you to come back. Did you have any connection with the Little Heroes, or was it just something that you wanted to do?
Well, I've actually been an ambassador for probably 4 months now, and I wanted, the decision came when I decided that I was going to start representing South Australia, that I wanted to start getting involved in the community a little bit more. And this was one that I've already been previously involved in with the slowdown, which was after Beijing. And I thought, well, what a better foundation to be involved with. So I put my hand up, and now I've been enjoying myself.
That's very good.
All I'm thinking, Anna, as you're describing that picture that's been taken, the emotion and that's swirling around in your mind after you won gold, I'm thinking all you've done is grab cans of paint and throw them on the canvas, because that's what will be going through my mind. I'm not seeing a clear thought at all. So.
Well, no, it actually there's a lot of movement in the painting, actually, so it probably does reflect that. But I can't repeat exactly what was running through my mind at the moment that I realised I'd won, because it's not quite fit for people's ears.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time. Yeah. Now, let's get back to your preparation. Before you went to the Games, of course, you were in the States at Colorado Springs, and understand you re-aggravated your back there, but you couldn't get the physios to treat your back. Why was that?
Well, the Americans seem to be a little bit wary on litigation, and I got all of my information, history on my back injury from my physio when I flared it up, and I took it in to get some treatment, and 4 physios I went through literally said to me, given your history, I won't be treating you.
Oh, gosh.
They just, for liability reasons and because of the sensitive nature of my injuries that I had, they just weren't prepared to put themselves in a position to make it worse. And it took me about a week and a half, 2 weeks to get it right, using the combination of a chiro and a physio who were actually prepared to treat me. So that's something that the team wasn't prepared for, and if we go back, we'll definitely fix that next time.
And did it have any, well, it obviously didn't, because you won 3 gold medals, but were you concerned that it might have some effect on your performance in India?
Yeah, I wasn't concerned with the fact whether I was going to ride or not. My concern was whether I was actually going to get good performances out on the board. And I guess sometimes I'm the sort of athlete that can perform when I'm fresh, so I wasn't overly concerned. But the 3 days of solid racing can be pretty heavy, so to have to sit there for a week in Colorado and not have to do too much training was very, very frustrating, let me tell you. And I guess I just had to learn to be patient and let it heal. And the day I left Colorado, actually, it came good.
All right. So the day you leave Colorado, of course, you get a little bit of time. Of course, then you arrive at the Commonwealth Games. There's a lot of speculation about what the village may be like, what that'll be like. But the opening ceremony, now, for someone who's just got their back right, to be standing around in humid conditions for 3 or 4 hours, I wouldn't have thought it'd be ideal.
No, not very good, and not having to sit on a plane for 10 hours either wasn't very good. But I didn't actually go to the opening ceremony, and and that was a result of, I just thought I would have to stand for about 10 hours and to race 2 days later. So the decision was made that I wasn't going to go and the whole team wasn't going to go as well. But and then when I was watching it on TV, they had seating for all the athletes. I was like devastated.
Anna, what were the facilities and living conditions like in the athletes' village? Because there was an enormous amount of negative publicity before the games. What were they actually like?
It was a bit rough. I mean, there were a lot of the footpaths and roadways weren't finished. There was a lot of unevenness around, so you had to really watch your step. Some of the balconies looked a bit dodgy, so a lot of us stayed off of them. But in general, the buildings were actually quite good. I mean, we had a massive room for all of the girls to stay in, 4 bedrooms. Each room had its own bathroom, massive living area, all wireless internet. It was actually quite good, and we kind of felt very quickly that it wasn't right to complain, because we'd get on a bus going from the village to the venue, and we'd be passing people, living under tents and tarps, and it just didn't feel right to complain about conditions not being perfect. And by the time I was there, I mean, people were doing things by hand. They didn't have big machineries and polish up things like that. Women were bending down on their hands and knees with a shovel, scraping away excess concrete because it wasn't smooth, and they were using a spray bottle and rag to try and polish up marble trim on the walkways to try and just make it more aesthetically pleasing. And it was just an interesting thing to be able to see.
Yeah, it's an interesting culture. The velodrome, you mentioned it before, getting onto the boards. There were some good times set at the velodrome. How did you find the conditions in there?
Oh, the track was beautiful. I think that they did a really good job in putting that together. It was a tough track to ride, though. It didn't give you much free speed, or if any at all. So we were all surprised to see some quick times posted. It's got a really long straight and really short tight bends, and they're the sort of tracks that make it really hard to go fast on. But it ended up going really well for our team. We won 12 of the 14 medals on offer, so and a lot of Commonwealth records fell as well.
And Australia's dominance, as you mentioned a moment ago, speaks volume for our chances now in London, even though England didn't send their top riders. So it would send a clear message. You'd be confident going to London.
Yeah, and it sends a clear message that, whether they're there or not, we're always there to race. And, we work hard 12 months of the year to race. We don't turn up and just, pussyfoot around. And they can expect that when we get to London, because we're hungry. We got an absolute flogging when we were in Beijing, and we as Australians, we don't just hightail it and run. We come back, we work hard and try and turn it around next time we get a chance.
Anna, gold medal at the Commonwealth Games. It's a tricky one for you to answer. I probably shouldn't. I'll walk you into this. I've been saying all along that they think should just have gold, silver and bronze for the Olympic or world events. You've got a gold medal from the Commonwealth Games. Do you think gold medals at the Commonwealth Games are justified?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've got 3 of them, so...
People just need to give the Commonwealth Games the appreciation of what they actually are. They're about bringing countries together, about peaceful but fierce sporting competition, and using that as inspiration for people around the world. I mean, we've got so much focus on the negativity about terrorism, about so many bad things in the world. Sport brings out both good and bad sides, and it's in a controlled environment that people can enjoy. And I think it's not the Olympics, it's not the World Championships, it's the Commonwealth Games. And I think if you can give it just a little bit of appreciation, it's not going to be like the Olympics. It just isn't. I mean, it's the Commonwealth countries. A lot of the sports don't have in the Commonwealth countries the dominant countries involved. Like for us, we don't have the Russians or the Germans or a lot of the European countries that really do dominate as well. So you just got to understand it's a sporting competition. It's not the biggest one, but it's a great one.
Oh, look, I think it's a great one. I think it's fantastic. And you touched on it before by saying you get yourself ready to compete. So I admire the competition and the way the Aussies go about it. I think it's outstanding. That's not my question. I'm just thinking that gold, silver and bronze should just be for world events. Anyway, we'll move on from that. The crowds were a little disappointing. Did that affect the way some of the athletes performed? Obviously it didn't affect you, but some athletes get driven by crowds.
Yeah, the crowds really create the atmosphere and the environment of energy in the stadium, and it can actually be hard to really gee yourself up in a quiet stadium for a major competition. And that's happened at a couple of places, in particular in Beijing in the trial race before the Olympic Games. A lot of the citizens in China didn't know what they were watching, and so they watched it like a tennis match. It was just dead silence inside the stadium. And the crowds in India initially were a little disappointing because there wasn't many people in the stands, and so that atmosphere that is so enjoyed inside the velodrome, because it's a fast sport, it's really up close and in your face, they weren't there to enjoy that and get involved with it, and that's what was disappointing. But as the competition went on, the stadium got fuller and fuller.
Yeah, fantastic. Anna, of the 3 gold medals you won, was the individual sprint perhaps a little bit more special for you?
Yes, definitely. It's the one title at that level that I haven't been able to win after 3 attempts, but I got it this time around. And, you know, that's the one that I really am chasing in the next couple of years, and in particular in London. And it's not easy for me at all. I'm a real time trial sort of person. I just, you know, like to go straight and have nothing else to worry about except for my own performance. But the sprint is a big challenge for me, and I'm not too shabby at it. I mean, you know, I'm an Olympic silver medalist, but it's a very difficult event for me to be able to master.
Yeah, pretty shabby, only an Olympic silver medalist, so I can see where you're falling down, Anna. Jeez. Anna, obviously you had to put a lot of training in to get to the Commonwealth Games and to perform as well as you could, so there's a tapering for that. Then there's a little bit of a downtime, hopefully, for you. How long do you think before you're fully recovered and ready to get back and going at it again 100%?
I get 5 days off, including the day that I had in India before I flew home.
Yep.
And we have to keep going because it's the start of our season. We have the Oceania Games here in Adelaide in November, and that's followed by the World Cup in Melbourne only a week later. So, and for us, they're the first 2 qualification rounds for the London Olympics, and this time around, it's a 2-year process that we need to remain top 8 in the world in the individual events to be able to qualify for the Games. So it's going to be a very, very challenging 2 years, and we need to really be on top of our game for the whole time.
Anna, looking towards London 2012, can I ask you about young Megan Dunn? Her performance seemed to be outstanding.
Yeah, she's an amazing little character, actually. She's a real country girl, and the best way I can kind of surmise it is with a little story. Our endurance coach, Ian McKenzie, is very, very quiet, very reserved, doesn't really talk much, and you know, even the boys can't get much out of him. And it was her mission when she first came into the team. She goes, I'm going to make Ian my friend. You know, and she spent year after year just annoying him and talking to him. And now they are best buds. And no one else can still talk to Macca, but Megan can. So she's a real hard worker, and I love watching her race because she chases the win. She doesn't look for anyone else to follow. So
no, it doesn't sound like she can be beaten, so she likes the challenge. That's what we like, no doubt about it. Anna, you enjoy your 5 days off. Personally, I think the coach has given you way too many. But, and hopefully you get a chance to do a bit more painting. It was terrific of you to come back and support the Little Heroes Foundation. So, an absolute champion, 3 gold medals. Could not have been better and done more for Australia. Well done.
Congratulations, Anna.
Yes, good on you. Anna Meares, our guest coach. Absolute
that's a terrific
champion lady, coach.